Worldwide, obesity has nearly tripled since 1975. Joining us today on Newsmakers is Dr. Sherry Beeler, Stephanie Scheiding, and Brenda Hayes from the Missouri Southern Kinesiology Department to talk about the Children's Lifetime Sports Academy. Thanks for joining us, ladies. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
So, I guess we'll start with you, Dr. Beeler. What is the Children's Lifetime Sports Academy?
The Children's Lifetime Sports Academy is a summer academy unlike any sport academy. It is just lifetime sports, so you would not see basketball, volleyball, football, those types of sports there. Mainstream sports. You're going to see tennis, you're going to see pickleball, you're going to see House of Bounce come in, we're going to go canoeing, we're going to go fishing. It's all about teaching skills and exposing them to activities for the rest of their life.
And that's something that, like you said, is different than basketball, because everybody can do, well, not everybody specialize, but those are the things you see all the time. Mm-hmm. And some kids may not have the opportunity to, say, go canoeing.
Right. And our original focus was to enhance what they were getting in their physical education in the schools, but also then to go beyond that and extend that into canoeing, fishing, where you didn't always have the weather or the facility to go do that.
I gotcha. So how did it get started? Was that you? Or were you a founding member?
I am. It started with Dr. Pat Lapira telling Patty Vavra and I that she wanted a sports academy like they had at Missouri Western, that her nephews attended. And she said, if they can do that, we can do that. Why aren't we doing that? And so the first year I was hired, that was Patty Vavra and I's charge, was to create this camp. We started off with 11 campers and 16 staff. Oh. So it was small, but
manageable at that time, yeah?
Yeah, very manageable. And we didn't ever leave campus then. So.
Oh, okay. And when was that? How long ago?
That was summer of 1996.
Wow.
This will be our 26th year.
That's so cool. So what did you do when COVID hit, Stephanie?
Sure. We actually decided to go ahead and have it online. It's something that's been very popular, and we thought everything has gone virtual. Let's just give it a shot. And we had several people that partook in that. And we also had students that needed to graduate. It's one of our requirements for our physical education classes. So they needed to meet that requirement. So we went ahead and we had it online, and it was pretty successful.
Wow.
But we were extremely excited the next year to have it in person again, as were the students, because you just can't have that type of experience on your computer at home. It needs to be in person.
Yeah. Yeah. How could you, it's hard to even conceive, like, how can you teach somebody to canoe if you're not there? Or
sure. So what our students did, they were all in charge of creating 3 or 4 different videos. They were not canoeing. They were things that they could do in their backyard, because we had to pick activities that students could do at home and with the equipment they had. And some students have a lot of equipment and some campers don't have any equipment. So we had to make sure that it was inclusive for anyone that wanted to participate. So we stuck with activities that we thought they could already do at home.
Okay. And Brenda, what is it that you do with the Sports Academy?
I'm the department administrative assistant. I work on the back side of everything before the camp starts. We usually start in January, getting ready, getting the online registration updated. I communicate with the parents, just follow through on registrations.
Camp would not happen without Brenda.
Right. That's what I was going to say, the silent partner, but the must do. And so how many kids do you usually have every year?
We have right around 100. We usually cap it at 100 registrations. And we already have people that, unfortunately, they've kind of jumped in a little bit late. And actually, can you edit that out?
Sure.
You take that one.
100. We can have around 100, and that's primarily due because we travel with buses, and so that's the limit.
Oh, okay.
On the buses, we can have about 50 per bus, and we have 2 buses that we use. Okay. Sometimes we're a little under 100, but our goal is to have 100 every year.
Okay. So how long have you been involved, Stephanie?
I was involved as a student in the early 2000s, and I really enjoyed my time, and that was about at the time that they started. They started in 1996, so it was still new. We didn't have quite 100, but we did have a lot of participants. And then as a faculty member, I've been involved for the past 6 years.
Wow. It's a good legacy to have, though.
Sure.
To have all these kids and have, I guess for most faculty members, it's just really, really inspiring. Do you feel like you pass that along to them, to the children?
We feel like we do, but more so our students do, and that's really what we want to see with the creation of the course was to get them involved, in one-on-one situations in small group, but where they can manage a group, they can teach a group, they can build relationships with the group, and learn names and faces and all the things, deal with parents. And that was the whole point, was to provide them an experience before they graduated and started teaching.
I gotcha. Because if they're going to, the kinesiology is like sports for, what do they do with that degree, I guess?
Kinesiology is our department, and we offer 2 degrees. One is physical education, K-12 teaching certification, and the other is health promotion and wellness. It will change in the fall to exercise science.
Oh,
and we just got word yesterday that we'll also be doing an interdisciplinary joint degree with business in sport and recreation management.
Wow. I mean, that encompasses a lot.
Yes.
How do you make that connection between the business and sports?
Depends on what your focus wants to be.
I gotcha.
If you're wanting to look at finances, you're going to take more of a business load.
Okay.
If you're going to look at coaching, fitness instruction, arranging facilities, then you're going to look more on the mix of the kinesiology and the business side.
Okay, that makes sense. So, what do you like most about the camp, Stephanie?
I think just giving our students an opportunity to work with younger campers. In class, we practice what it's going to be like with lesson plans, but they practice with their own peers, and that can be really difficult to emulate what it's going to be like with real students. So I'm not sure if we mentioned, but our campus is from 7 to 12-year-olds. So it's a perfect opportunity for our students to get to know that age demographic. And then they can see, well, maybe I am interested in elementary or middle school physical education, or you know what, this was great, but maybe it's not for me and I want to be a high school physical education teacher. So I think that's probably my favorite part, is just seeing our students interact with the campers.
I gotcha. And that's one thing that always through middle school and high school I remember was the PE teachers. Like, they were some of the most influential for me. And our PE teacher in middle school was also our choir instructor. So, he just had this long storied career of, students with both physical education and music education. And those are so different, actually. So the camp lasts just about 4 days, right? How do you teach a student something in that 4 days that will stay with them forever?
I think, again, we focus on lifetime activities. We're not teaching them every rule involved with each game. We can't do that because it is only 4 days long. Our responsibility is to teach them a variety of lifetime activities in the 4-day span. So they're just getting a sampling of a lot of different activities. And we know that it's working because we have students and parents that come back and say, we went to your camp, we learned a little bit about pickleball, and now our family went out and bought pickleball equipment and we play pickleball in our driveway. So while it's a short time, we can tell that it's making an impact on families, not just the students.
And so I guess you would know this, Brenda, there are kids who come in at 7. Do they come back every year?
Yes, we have many students that follow us through every age group and from beginning to end. So, and that's really fun to see them grow up, and they're just excited to come back every year.
Do they give feedback on what their favorites are?
We send out a questionnaire at the end of camp, and we ask the students what they liked, what we could do better, what they want to see, and so it's fun to get those answers.
Has it helped you develop new, different other programs, or I guess not programs, but sports to use in the camp?
We added a couple of new things last year.
We played pickleball for the first time last year, which makes sense. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the world. So we used to play racquetball, and that was popular. However, there are only 4 days. So we took racquetball out and we added pickleball. And that does have to do with the evaluations. They say what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wish we had, what we don't have. And we read every single one, good or bad. We spend time and we use it to make camp better the next year.
Which I think that's great too, because the input from the students who are doing it. So do you repeat sports year after year? And so as the kids come in, if they're 7, do they come back when they're 8 and have to do the same things, or how does that work?
They do the same sports for the most part. Like I said, we added pickleball, but tennis is one that we usually do. We always do a swimming unit. We almost always have House of Bounce come. We try to go canoeing every year. So, but the students, they don't see it, or the campers, they don't really, we only see them 4 days out of the year. So for them, they're not getting bored with it. They're looking forward to it because they can then get better each and every year. So they can say, oh, I wasn't very good last year, but I really like tennis now. So even the 4 days that they have it, they get better.
Okay. Yeah. And what are all of the sports that you guys do in the camp? Or have you done over the years?
Well, pickleball, tennis, racquetball, frisbee,
Spike ball.
spike ball.
What's spike ball?
There is a net. It looks a lot like a trampoline, and you use your hands, and so it's almost trampoline and volleyball combined. So you hit a ball off your hands, off the net, and back up. It's played a lot in the sand.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. And what else?
We do canoeing,
Archery, fishing. This year we're going to have someone come and do fly fishing lures, and actually that came from a camper's mom. She said, this is something that we would really like to do. Is there room for us? We can teach your campers how to tie a lure. And we said, sure, let's make it happen.
Wow. I wouldn't think that that'd be a skill that teachers would be able to teach in school, but I mean, I guess it would be.
We have a great relationship with Missouri Department of Conservation as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so they help us with our canoeing and our fishing and our archery. We have a archery and air rifle class that we also offer on campus every fall.
Okay.
And our instructor for that is Sarah Trout, and she's received all the certifications she can to teach. And then our hope is to eventually have a collegiate archery team.
Oh, yeah.
So locally in our area and nationwide, archery is one of the fastest growing competitive sports.
Would you guys ever do axe throwing? I heard that's pretty popular too.
Well, we might go as an event for Kinesiology Club.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably not bring it on
Not
campus.
with 7 to 12-year-olds.
No.
Well, what about like yard games that people play, cornhole and things like that? Do you guys do those kind of games too?
In Sports Academy, we do those games for the alternative activities. So students that don't want to swim, they don't all want to swim, and that's okay because it's a free time at the end. So they will play ladder golf, cornhole.
Okay.
What are some of the other ones?
Cube, washers, croquet. We've done tag games. It's usually a much smaller group, so the staff that's responsible for that, they see what the student or what the campers want to do, and then they pick from there.
There you go. I remember when I was a kid, our parents would just like throw us out of the house and lock the door. Say, don't come back till it's dark, you know, and we would just find, untold number of things to do. But with technology and, kids being indoors more and with COVID, how important is the academy to kids today as far as getting them moving?
Sure. And I have children of my own that come to camp, and I understand the struggles with technology. So I think anytime, even if it's just 4 days, anytime you can get your children involved in some sort of activity, you're helping not only their physical health, but their mental health. And we know that mental health is a huge problem right now. So if we can do anything to help create that total child, then that's what we're going to do as a department.
Yeah, the obesity rates, I think I was reading, since 1975, they've tripled.
Yes.
And for Missouri, people report that they are physically inactive. I think I might have sent you guys the numbers. Do you see that as well in younger kids?
Yes. Absolutely. We see that all the time. It's certainly a problem, especially with parents when you can't send your kids out by themselves anymore,
right?
Because we live in a scary world. It's a problem, but I think a plus of our camp, because it is all inclusive, anyone can come. It's not sport specific. It's tailored for lifetime activities. Our goal is to send our campers home with activities that they can do for a lifetime. So they may not like every activity that we do, but our hope is that they find at least a few things that they can do at home for a lifetime, because we know that if you can capture a student when they're young, they're more likely to be active as adults.
Yeah, start those good habits early.
Yes.
And I also read that, and I don't know how this, I never even thought of this, but that the more the more education the head of household gets, the healthier the children are. Does that seem to equate in?
I think to some extent, that's not anything we've collected data on over the years, but I think my own personal opinion is that the more educated are, the more the exposure they had to opportunity.
Oh, there you go.
And a lot of it is based upon opportunity. So the focus, to echo what Stephanie said, is that to provide a variety of activities that are lifetime activities. Some require a little equipment, some require a place like a bowling alley or a golf course, but that the cost is not the prohibitor or the sponsor of the activity. It's to find things they like.
There you go. And that is one of the other interesting data points, that the racial and ethnic and socioeconomic barriers that many cities and areas and towns see, that people don't have access to safe spaces or community areas, convenient spaces even. Are there things that you all teach in kinesiology that can have an impact on those numbers, like the students that you're teaching?
We hope so.
I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that the students that we have come from very diverse backgrounds. We have students that are first-time college students. We have a lot of ethnic differences in our department. So I think that if our goal is to educate them, so then they can then go back home if they choose to and educate other people in their communities. I think change happens one person at a time. So it doesn't happen overnight, but slowly but surely we're doing the best that we can to help change the world.
That's such a good motto to live by too. In Missouri, self-reporting is what this survey was. That white individuals are 27.3%, and we'll put up a graphic. They self-report as being inactive daily, and African Americans 33.6%. So talk about the way that the Lifetime Sports Academy is designed to maybe get inroads with different communities and different ethnic backgrounds, like you said. Do you teach your students about these differences and how they can help maybe correct some of those numbers?
Yes, and through many of the courses that our students take, one being physical activity for special populations. As Stephanie said, we're an all-inclusive camp, so regardless of your limitations or your delimitations, you are welcome at the camp.
That's good.
And we've had all kinds of abled and not unabled students or campers, participate with us. I think the more that they are around people who are different, that's different from you or different from me, then the more comfortable you are and the more likely you are to go then participate or step out of your zone.
That's good.
A little bit.
And then I'd also like to add, and maybe Brenda can talk a little bit about this, but this year we've decided we really want to, our camp historically, it's not a super expensive camp, but we understand that there are some students that would love to come that just cannot afford it. So we decided that we really wanted to add a sponsorship. So we talked to some local businesses, and they have agreed to help pay for up to 10 campers to come for free so that they can have the same experiences. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that's going to work?
We're just reaching out to local physical education teachers that we know, and seeing if they can nominate students that would be a good fit, that maybe financially would not be able to come on their own.
Right.
So we're working on that, and hopefully it will continue year after year with our sponsor.
That's great. And so, what are the hours of the camp?
It's from 12:30 to 5.
Okay. So what if the kids, they get the sponsorship, but how do they get a ride? Or do you pick them up, or how does that work?
That's going to have
With
to
Wes?
fall back on the parents
Yeah.
to get them there. We, we just have our buses that are, we have just for transportation to and from events.
Gotcha.
So we will have to rely on the parents to get the students there.
Sure. And I think there's a learning curve. This is the first
Sure.
year that we're
Yeah.
offering sponsorship. So I think as we get feedback from parents and those students, we'll get better ideas of what we need to do. Yeah.
But I think that's a great program, though, to sponsor kids. And that was one of my questions, is if you had a scholarship.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you earlier about the makeup of the kinesiology department and how it's mostly women. Do you find that that's the way it is in your department in general? Like, has it been that way for a while, or what attracts women to the kinesiology department?
Oh, I think because we're so diverse in what we offer and what we teach. Traditionally, in K-12 schools, we're seeing, even in our own physical education program, more male than females because of the requirement and the combination of teaching and coaching.
Okay.
Not everybody wants to teach and coach, so it is limited some. In our department, I just think it's just been the way it turned out. When I first came, there were an equal number of males and females. And then we were combined with athletics. We're no longer combined with athletics. Athletics is a department and kinesiology is a separate department. So we don't share faculty anymore. And that diversified the department and also de-diversified the department at the same time. And we've not done a lot of hiring in recent years particularly, but we look at the best candidate. And that's our qualities. It's just be the best candidate and the best fit.
Well, and women are more drawn to teaching as a career anyways. It seems like the majority of teachers I know are female anyways. I want to say that there might have been one. I know we talked about, we knew each other from when you were at elementary school.
One male teacher.
Yeah. And it seems like, does that continue to be a trend?
I'm not actually sure. I haven't seen any data on, as far as physical education teachers go, if there are more females than males. I think in the elementary school, you do sometimes tend to see more women. I think in high schools, oftentimes if you did some research, you probably see that there were quite a bit of men. And it might have to do that it's a lot of times they're tied to teaching. I'm not sure, but do you know?
I don't have any data.
Yeah, it just but I think that's interesting though, and nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great career, and it's one that you can pass on, especially if you're into education and into physical activity, and pass it on to your kids.
Absolutely.
And so, what do you do if your outdoor activity gets canceled by rain?
Do you want to answer that?
Go ahead. It's Plan B.
Yeah.
So we have a master schedule that has been tweaked year after year. It changes a little bit. We do have a rain schedule. So in fact, last year it did start to rain one of the days, and I think they were already at the golf course, so they then loaded the bus and they started back, and then it stopped raining. They may have went and golfed again. But I do think one group had to come and they played a activity called snag golf, which is starting new at golf. So we have we have equipment should it rain. Is it going to be as fun as being out in a canoe? Probably not, but we do have backup activities.
Well, that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And so the kids that keep coming back year after year, do they graduate, or do they have younger siblings that come in?
Yeah, we have Kevin Grime, who works here on campus. His children have gone to camp year after year, and his daughter Tegan aged out, which she's 13 now. So she's going to come back and volunteer, and we always need help with our smallest group. And so Tegan is going to volunteer with our 7-8-year-olds, and just kind of keep an eye, help them do things. So we're, and that's happened before with students that age out. They volunteer for those 4 days, and it's great.
And I think that's a huge testament to the academy that after they can no longer come, they still want to come and volunteer.
Yeah. So, and that can inspire them to maybe go on and do that as a career path.
Sure. Yeah.
That's so cool. And so what's new this year?
I'll defer to Stephanie.
You just put me on the spot.
Well, I mean, and there may not be anything brand new, but pickleball being relatively new.
We started pickleball last year. Something new this year, we always play tennis. I mentioned that earlier. However, we noticed last year that a lot of the younger students have a difficult time holding a tennis racket and swinging it appropriately. And we want to teach them skills, but we also want to emphasize how to properly teach the skills. So we bought age-appropriate rackets this year. So they will just be used for Children's Lifetime Sports Academy. So little things like that don't seem to make a huge difference, they probably will with our students, because they'll be able to hold the equipment and feel the way it's actually supposed to feel.
And what do you want to say to, I guess, parents who have never had their kids, or I guess even grandkids. Mine are too young still, but to get them to maybe check it out?
It's just 4 days of back to back to back fun. And when they leave, at the end of the day, they're exhausted, they're happy, they're excited to come back the next day. And so, on Thursday, the last day of the camp, we have the parents come in, and we have great sponsors that give us products or donations that we can purchase, nice products as giveaways, stuff like that. So, it's just fun. It's good quality for the price. They, good bang for their buck.
Yeah, for sure. And kids just need to leave their cell phones at home, right?
Yeah.
I don't,
tablets,
it's
no
actually
devices.
never been a problem.
Yeah.
I've never thought about
Yeah.
it before, but it's never been a
hasn't.
problem.
That's great.
Which is a great sign.
Yes, exactly. Well, I really appreciate you all coming out and talking to us about it.
Yeah, thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
You betcha. Thanks for joining us today. I want to thank Stephanie Scheiding, Brenda Hayes, and Dr. Sherry Beeler from the Missouri Southern Kinesiology Department. That's a mouthful. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Copeland Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potriff. We'll see you again soon.
We don't want you on our team. You're too slow and fat.
Millions of people are impacted by obesity.
Don't you care what other people think?
You need to do something about your weight.
They face unfair weight bias every day.
You're not the right fit for this job.
Weight bias is harmful, not helpful.
I see you haven't lost weight. You must not be trying hard enough.
Everyone keeps judging me.
I'm eating right. I'm exercising.
I'm trying to lose weight.
But it's just too much.
Our words and actions matter.
Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect.
Learn more about weight bias and how to help end it. Visit stopweightbias.com.
Be a part of the solution.
Let's stop weight bias. Let's work together to stop weight bias today.